What does it mean when a thread has the same 7 people in it every time you open it? Different replies and different timestamps, but the same 7 names. LurmoStories archives those threads. Nobody we've reached out to remembers being part of those conversations. The names check out anyway. I was the drone person at a small survey company in Barstow in June of 2021. West Mesa Geomatics sounded bigger than it was. 5 people, 1 white Tacoma, and a locked cabinet full of gear we could barely replace. The job was simple. 40 acres north of Amboy, east of Bristol Dry Lake, south of National Trails Highway. A solar developer wanted topo. File name MOJ-21-447B. I had to fly a grid, shoot ground control, and get back before the heat got mean. Ken, my boss, handed me the folder and said, "Don't be brave. If it hits 110, leave." I left at 5:12 a.m. with a DJI Phantom 4 RTK, a Trimble R10 Rover, 4 orange targets, 6 cones, 2 TB55 batteries, and a cooler of Costco water. My phone was a Samsung Galaxy S10. The tablet was an iPad mini. The road smelled like hot dust and old vinyl before sunrise. Every washboard patch made the drone case thump against the bedliner. I reached the site at 6:38. No gate, no signs, just pale ruts through creosote and cholla. The closest landmark was a half-dead Joshua tree about 80 yards west of the truck. Farther north were black, low hills that never seemed closer. My lips tasted like sunscreen. Burrs stuck to my bootlaces while I set targets. I was alone. That was normal. I liked working alone because nobody asked if I knew how to calibrate my own equipment. The first odd thing was small. The north control point would not stay put on the map. In DJ IGS Pro, it jumped a few feet every time I refreshed the RTK fix. Satellites were good. PDOP 1.3, base locked, no warnings. The target was visible with my own eyes, exactly where I put it. I blamed heat shimmer, which made no sense for coordinates, but desert work gives you good enough excuses. Magnetic junk, old pipe, multipath, bad tablet cache. Pick one and keep moving. I launched at 7:06. The Phantom climbed to 210 feet and started its grid. 74 photos planned, 80% overlap, camera straight down, speed 11 miles per hour. I stood in the shade of the open driver door and watched the live feed. Creosote, ruts, targets, my Tacoma like a toy, my own white hard hat beside it. The drone sounded like an angry mosquito getting farther away. On the second pass, the video twitched. A strip of ground on the left side slid upward while the rest of the picture stayed still, like someone dragged part of the screen and let go. I said, "Nope," to nobody. Telemetry looked fine. Battery, 89%. Wind, 3.4 meters per second. Altitude, steady. So I kept going. Near the center of the square was a tall, cactus-looking thing. I know saguaros are wrong for that area, so maybe it was a broken Joshua tree or a yucca trunk with arms. From above, it looked like a forked cactus about 9 feet tall, leaning east. The sun was low in the east, so its shadow stretched west, like it should. Then the shadow shortened. At first, I told myself it was the drone angle. The camera was moving, the gimbal was correcting, the tablet screen was hot. Shadows look weird from above. A live feed is not the world. It is a processed picture. The shadow pulled all the way back to the base of the cactus. Then it started moving east, against the sun. I stopped the mission. The drone hovered. The shadow stopped too. That was the part I did not like. I rotated the drone 30 degrees. The cactus stayed still. The shadow stayed east of it, lying on open dirt where nothing could have cast it. I rotated back. The shadow wavered, like it had to catch up, then settled. I started a screen recording. Timestamp 7:14 a.m., June 18th, 2021. I remember because later Ken asked what minute the issue started, and I lied. I should have packed up, I know that. But I still had a working drone, good RTK, and a client who wanted a surface by noon. Coming back with nothing and a story about a wrong shadow would have made me the office joke. So I resumed the grid. For 8 minutes, everything behaved. The Phantom flew its lawnmower path. The camera clicked every 2 seconds. I drank water that tasted like warm plastic and watched the battery drop to 64%. Then it reached the cactus again. The shadow was longer now, stretched east like a black ribbon. Its far end had lifted off the ground. The camera was looking straight down, so there should not have been an edge, but the shadow had one. A curled lip. Thin, dark, trembling. The tip peeled free. It did not rise like smoke. It fell upward. A strip of black let go of the dirt and dropped into the sky, getting narrower as it went. The part still attached to the cactus stretched like melted plastic. A red warning flashed. Compass error. Exit PGPS mode. The Phantom drifted without command. I hit return to home. It turned in place instead. The horizon appeared, though the gimbal should have been pointed straight down. I saw desert sideways, then upside down, then normal. Above the cactus was plain blue sky, but it looked flat, like painted plywood behind a movie set. Distance jumped from 1,862 feet to 414 feet to 2.7 miles. Altitude read 301 feet, then -18. The feed cleared for maybe 3 seconds. I saw my truck below. I saw myself beside it in a blue Columbia long-sleeve shirt, gray pants, white hard hat, one hand on the controller. I also saw another me. She was standing 10 yards behind the Tacoma, on the far side of the Joshua Tree, facing away. Same shirt, same hard hat, same brown ponytail through the back. When I shifted my weight, she shifted too. Delayed by half a second, mirrored wrong. I turned around, no one. On the screen, she was still there. Then she looked up at the drone. I did not. I held the controller power button. The shutdown prompt appeared. I hit yes. The screen went black, then came back by itself. Same feed, same hover, same second woman, now closer to the truck. I pulled the battery out of the controller. The controller died in my hands. The iPad kept showing the live feed. No cable, no controller Wi-Fi, nothing connected. The image stayed smooth and bright. The drone buzz was still somewhere above me, faint and impossible to place. That is when I packed up. I grabbed 3 targets and left the north one. I am not proud of it, but I was not walking 400 feet toward that cactus. I threw the Trimble in the back without turning it off. My hands felt dusty and slick at the same time. The iPad, lying on the passenger seat, made a shutter tick. I froze. The screen showed the drone much higher now. My truck was a white dash. The cactus sat near the center. Its shadow was completely detached, a black, torn shape above the ground, falling into the sky. The creosote around me did not move, but the lifted shadow fluttered like a tarp in wind. DJI feeds do not have audio from the drone on that setup. Still, sound came from the iPad speaker. 3 taps. Pause. 2 taps. Pause. 3 taps. It matched the drone case knocking against the bedliner during the drive-in. I closed the iPad cover. The tapping continued, muffled. I got in the Tacoma, locked the doors, and started driving. The dash said 96 degrees. It was 7:31 a.m. The compass mirror said west, even though the truck was facing south. After maybe half a mile, I passed the north target, the one I had left behind. It was sitting in the right tire rut, with its flat rock still on it. Pink flagging tape lifted and settled in air that had no wind. I did not stop. When I reached National Trails Highway, my phone got 2 bars. A text from Ken came in at 8:24. You good? Need photos by noon. I typed, equipment acting up, coming back. The drone never returned. It did not show on Find My Drone. The last coordinate in the log was 34.568921, minus 115.783404. Inside the square, 30 yards from the cactus. The iPad battery was dead by the time I got back to Barstow. At the office, Ken stood in the equipment room doorway with his mask under his chin and said, "Tell me you didn't cook the RTK unit." I said, "Drone went stupid. Compass error. I've got partials." Marcy, our CAD tech, was eating microwave ramen at her desk. I gave her the microSD and the SanDisk flash drive with the screen recording backup. It was a red and black 64GB Walmart stick. One corner was warped, like it had been near a lighter. Marcy plugged it in. Windows chimed, then threw an error. She clicked repair. It failed. The drive vanished. The microSD worked, mostly. There were 73 images instead of 74. The first 40 were normal. The next few had banding. Then came the cactus shots. The first showed the shadow west. The second showed it tucked under the cactus. The third showed it east. Ken said, "Bad sun metadata?" Marcy checked. Timestamps are fine. The next image would not open. The one after opened sideways, though the EXIF said nadir. It showed the lifted shadow. At the tip of the black shape was a tiny, bright cross. Marcy zoomed in. "Is that the drone?" she said. Ken said, "Can't be." The office lights flickered once. The AC cut out and came back. Marcy's monitor blinked black. When it woke, the folder had 74 images. The missing file was there. DJI_0047.jpg. Ken opened it before I could speak. It was a photo of me in the Tacoma, taken through the windshield from maybe 3 feet away. I was gripping the wheel. The iPad glowed on the passenger seat. In the rear window reflection, faint but clear, the other me leaned forward from the back seat. There had been no one in my back seat. I had put the Trimble case there myself. I had looked. I always look. Marcy pushed her chair back until it hit a cabinet. Ken closed the image. Corrupted file. Nobody argued. So that became the official answer. The report went out 2 days later with usable partial topo, limited aerial coverage in the northwest quadrant, and one clean sentence. Flight 2 aborted due to compass/RTK instability. Removable media damaged during field transfer. Ken added probable heat-related controller fault in his blocky handwriting. I signed the field log. The client never complained. The Phantom was listed as lost equipment. Insurance denied it because there was no recovery. I still have the warped SanDisk in a Ziploc bag. It has a brown mark on one side, like a thumbprint melted into the plastic. I am not saying a portal opened in the Mojave. I am not saying a shadow climbed into the sky with my drone. Instruments fail. Heat bends light. GPS lies. People misremember when they are alone and scared and dehydrated. That is the version I prefer. But the shadow moved opposite the sun, while every other shadow behaved normally. The iPad kept receiving feed after the controller battery was out, and the drone did not just lose signal, it stopped having a last place. The log puts it 301 feet over the square. DJI CloudSync puts it at 0 distance from home, on a paved road I never flew over. The final cached thumbnail, found months later when I wiped the iPad for resale, shows blue sky with the ground at the top of the frame. In the middle is the cactus shadow, fully detached, falling upward. Below it is the Phantom, small and white. Its own shadow is above it. I turned in the damaged flash drive and wrote technical failure, because that let everyone get paid and go home. Ken never asked me to return to MOJ-21-447B. I never offered. When jobs came in near Amboy, I found reasons to be busy. There is still a gray square in my old project map, north of Amboy, east of the dry lake, south of the road that took too long. I do not look at it closely. And I do not fly over shadows anymore if I can help it. I pulled the night rotation at a colo in Santa Clara in December 2020, when the office parks around Great America Parkway were empty, and the 101 sounded far away even at rush hour. The building looked like every other beige box in Silicon Valley. Tinted glass, no logo, a suite number, and a badge reader that hated cold fingers. I worked for Halberg Systems, a payment analytics company with 12 racks of old hardware nobody had moved to AWS. My shift started at 10 p.m. on Thursday, December 17th. I remember because I ate a Safeway turkey sandwich in my car and dropped lettuce between the seats. It was 49 degrees outside. Pete, the guard, took my temperature, wrote 97.6 on the log, and slid me a badge. "Halby is loud tonight," he said through his blue surgical mask. "Halby is always loud." No, I mean louder. I should have listened, but louder meant a fan bearing, a bad PSU, or a Dell trying to prove it was still alive. I took my ThinkPad and a paper cup of burnt Keurig coffee through the man-trap. Data centers have their own little weather. Hall B was cold enough to make my knuckles split. The rubber floor tiles smelled like dust and plastic. Near the UPS room, there was that sharp ozone smell you get around tired gear. Every door handle felt slick from Purell. The fan noise sat on my teeth. Our cage was B17, 14 racks behind chain link, with yellow fiber overhead and blue Cat 6 tied too neatly by Stan, our old network guy. I had 2 jobs: replace 3 failed SSDs and patch firmware on 6 Supermicro batch boxes. Boring work. At 11:38 p.m., Prometheus threw a red block on my laptop. Host HLM-09-U22 dropped. Then iDRAC stopped answering. The Juniper switch still saw a link, but no traffic. The node was called ord-batch-04, left over from a project that had died in 2018. It was not customer-facing. I posted in Slack, ord-batch-04 down, checking console. Ravi, on call from Fremont, answered with a thumbs up and, "Good luck, that thing is cursed." I rolled over the crash cart, an old trip light with a drawer monitor and a keyboard with crumbs under the spacebar. The wheels clicked on every floor seam. I plugged in VGA and USB. The monitor woke gray, then black, then showed a console. It was not a Linux login. No hostname, no prompt. Just white text on black, printing 4 lines a second. March 14th, 1988. March 14th, 1988. March 14th, 1988. March 14th, 1988. That is my birthday. I was not scared right away. I was annoyed. My brain made a list of boring answers. March 14th is Pi Day. Engineers use it as dummy data. Maybe an old batch job had a birth date field and was dumping logs. I actually said, "It's Pi Day, idiot," out loud. Then I noticed the clock in the BIOS status strip. December 17th, 2099, 23:44:02. The seconds advanced normally. 23:44:03. 23:44:04. The year stayed 2099. Clock problems happen. Bad CMOS battery, bad BMC, NTP weirdness, firmware bugs. I took a picture with my iPhone 11 because nobody believes console bugs without proof. The date was readable. I hit Control plus C. Nothing. Enter. Nothing. Control plus Alt plus Delete. Nothing. Numlock worked, so the keyboard had power. The server just ignored input and kept printing my birthday. The fans were steady. Drive LEDs quiet. I called Ravi on Zoom. He answered with the camera off. "What did you do?" he asked. "Nothing. Console is weird." "Weird how?" "It's printing my birthday." A microwave beeped on his end. Then silence. "Send me a picture." I sent it. The typing dots in Slack appeared, vanished, appeared again. "Could be a test file," he said. "Why is the system time 2099? CMOS battery, BMC, controller, pick a daemon." "Don't say daemon. Pull power and go home." He was right. Any sane person would have pulled both C13 cables, waited, and moved on. But programmers are stupid around puzzles. We call it troubleshooting so it sounds responsible. I checked the front panel. The blue UID light was blinking. I had not turned it on. I assumed Ravi had clicked it through IPMI before access died. The bezel label said, "Do not power cycle without checking jobs." No jobs had run in 8 months. The screen kept printing. March 14th, 1988. March 14th, 1988. March 14th, 1988. After a while, the date stopped being a date. It became a pattern. / numbers. 2 racks over, a relay clicked every 30 seconds. I had never noticed it before. Ravi checked the switch logs. Link is up. No traffic except ARP once a minute. BMC, MAC disappeared. That's bad. Controller? Maybe. LSI cards do cursed stuff when they cook. As he said that, one line changed. March 14th, 2032. Then it went back to March 14th, 1988. I leaned close enough to smell warm dust through the bezel. It changed. Your eyes skipped. Record it. I set my phone against the crash cart and recorded. For 46 seconds, it printed my birthday. Then, one line. March 14th, 2032. I paused the video later. It was there. The top clock rolled from December 17th, 2099, 23:59:59 to January 1st, 2100, 00:00:00. It skipped the rest of December. No flicker, no reboot. Then the output stopped. For 10 seconds, the console was blank, except for the last line. Then a prompt appeared. Login. That almost made me feel better. Prompts are normal. I typed root. Incorrect. I typed our break glass user. Incorrect. I hit enter with no username. The screen printed my full name. Daniel Michael Price. Not in a banner, not in a file path. Just those 3 words, in the same plain console font. I stepped back and hit the rack door behind me. It rattled hard. It was just a reflex, like touching a hot pan. Ravi said, "What was that?" I showed him the screen through the phone. Hall B Wi-Fi smeared the video into blocks. Is Michael in LDAP? He asked. My middle name is in Workday, not on an old batch node. Old HR export? Maybe. I held on to that maybe. Companies leak data into themselves all the time. CSVs get copied. My full name could be somewhere. The birthday could be dummy data. The clock could be a battery. Then a new line appeared. Do not use the button. No period. I looked at the small round power button on the front panel. Ravi, stop. Stop what? Typing. I'm not typing. Danny, I cannot reach the BMC. I am not in that box. The line disappeared under more dates. March 14th, 1988. March 14th, 1988. March 14th, 1988. There were two ways to kill the server. Soft power from the front or hard power by pulling both cables from the back. The screen had said not to use the button. The embarrassing part is that I obeyed it. I stood there in a cold aisle with my gloved finger 3 inches from the button and did nothing. Then the server beeped. Not the normal post chirp. One short beep, then 3 longer ones, like someone tapping a table. The console cleared. Login. Password. Dots began filling the password field by themselves. 8, 12, 20. Hands were not on the keyboard. Ruby saw enough through the blurry video to stop talking. A prompt appeared. Daniel at ord-batch-04:$ That user did not exist. We used first initial plus last name. D Price. I knew because I wrote that Ansible role. The prompt typed date. The output was Thursday, December 17th, 23:14:88 Pacific Standard Time, 2099. There is no 88th second. Then, who am I? Daniel. Then, last Daniel points/076.19.43.88. Thursday, December 17th, 23:14. Still logged in. I did not recognize the IP. Later, Ravi said it looked like a residential Comcast block. At that moment, I only saw the last 2 octets, 43.88. March 1488, if you let your brain make bad shapes. I said, I'm pulling power. Ravi said, yes, now. The prompt typed one more command. Uptime. Up 111 years, 278 days, 6 users, load average 0.00, 0.00, 0.00. I reached for the front button because it was closest. My finger touched the plastic. The screen printed, not that one. I froze. Maybe 2 seconds. Long enough that the instruction landed. Ravi said very quietly, leave the cage. I did not. I went around to the hot aisle. Hot air hit my face and made my mask damp under my nose. Stan's heat shrink tags read PDU-A-09-22 and PDU-B-09-22. My right hand was sweaty inside the nitrile glove. I grabbed the first C13 and pulled. 1 PSU went amber. The fans jumped for half a second. From the other side of the rack, I heard the crash cart keyboard typing. Fast plastic taps. I pulled the second cable. U22 died. The fans spun down with that falling whine servers make. The monitor went black. Hall B kept roaring. Normal lights, normal cold. Ravi said, is it off? Yes. Are you okay? Yes. I was calm then. The shaking came later, in my car. I waited 60 seconds, plugged both cables back in, and the server stayed off. Good. Then, because I can make any bad idea look like procedure, I pressed the button. It booted normally. American Megatrends logo. Memory count. LSI scan. BIOS time. December 18th, 2020. 0 hours, 19 minutes, 11 seconds. Wrong by minutes, not decades. Grub loaded. CentOS 7 came up. ord-batch-04 login. No birthday, no name, no warning. I did not log in. I shut it down and opened an incident ticket. I wrote, host unresponsive, BMC unavailable, console output corrupted, suspected controller/RTC issue, power removed, recommend wipe and burn in. I attached one blurry photo of the 2099 clock and did not attach the video. Pete was still at the desk when I left at 1:12 a.m., watching a Lakers replay on a Samsung tablet. "Fix the loud one?" he asked. Turned it off. Same thing most nights. Outside, the air smelled like wet asphalt. I sat in my car and watched the video twice. The March 14th, 2032 line was there. My full name was there. The "not that one" line was there for 5 frames before the image jerked. On Monday, a field tech named Luis met me at the cage. He wore a Raiders mask and smelled like mint gum. We pulled the server onto a rolling table and opened it. No burnt parts, no bulging capacitors. The coin cell battery tested low at 2.1 volts, which gave everyone a comfortable answer. Luis replaced it and said, "These things get haunted when the battery dies." He meant it as a joke. I laughed like it was one. Diagnostics passed memory for loops. The drives passed short smart. The LSI controller threw 2 timeout warnings under load, so that became the official cause. Before the wipe, I mounted the old root volume read-only. I know I should not have. I looked for a Daniel user. Nothing. I greeped for my full name. Nothing. I searched for March 14th, 1988, and found it in a sample customer file from a training script. Pi Day. Fine. I did not find "do not use the button." I did not find "not that one." We zeroed all 8 drives, swapped the controller from spare stock, reinstalled from PXE, and renamed the host ord-batch-07 because Marlene hated gaps in dashboards. It ran 72 hours of burn-in and went back into service on December 23rd. The ticket closed as "RAID controller failure causing console corruption and RTC instability." Very boring, very believable. Months later, after 2 beers, I showed Robbie the video. He watched without joking. When it ended, he said, "What I hate is that it waited for you to touch the button." I had not said that part out loud. One detail still will not file away. The first event in the JIRA ticket was timestamped December 17th, 2099, 23:44 and 2 seconds. Not in my screenshot, in JIRA Cloud. The next event was normal, December 17th, 2020, 23:45:10, from Slack. Tina said JIRA can show bad dates if your laptop clock is wrong. My laptop clock was not wrong. Every other ticket from that night was fine. So, the official version is simple. A server in Santa Clara froze during a maintenance window. The console printed corrupted output, the clock jumped because the battery was dying, the controller threw errors, I hard rebooted it, we wiped it, replaced parts, and returned it to service. Most days, I believe that. But I do not work alone in data centers anymore. I do not use crash carts unless I have to, and when a frozen machine tells me not to touch a button, I do not argue with it. I pull the power from the back. I never joked about seeing things underwater. Mostly, I found rotten rope, crab pots, beer cans, and cracked concrete. The job that made me quit was in September 2013, under the westbound span of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge on the Sandy Point side of Maryland. I was 38, working for Harborline Marine out of Dundalk. We were there to inspect a damaged steel collar around one pier. Simple DOT work. Pictures, measurements, maybe a patch plate. My tender was Fen. He wore a faded Orioles cap and drove a green Ford Ranger with a Raven sticker. That morning, he had Wawa coffee and a cigarette. He kept saying he was not smoking. The air smelled like diesel, wet rope, and crab bait. Noah warned about wind later, but the bay looked flat enough at 7. I went down in a Kirby Morgan 37 helmet, surface supplied, bailout bottle on my back. Depth was nothing special, 15 meters, 49 feet on my gauge. The water under that bridge is brown-green, with silt in every fold of your gloves. Visibility was maybe 2 feet. Cars passed overhead as dull thunder through the concrete. The first 40 minutes were boring. I cleaned barnacles off bolt heads, called out measurements, and filmed it with a GoPro clipped to my bracket. "How's the hotel?" Fen asked through the comms. "4 stars, I said. Free mud." Then I heard the clicking. Click, click, click. It was regular, like a blinker in a parked car. Fen said it was probably expansion joints, or my umbilical tapping steel. That made sense. Big bridges make weird noises underwater. I checked my yellow umbilical anyway. It floated clean behind me. Nothing was hitting it. I finished the collar and dropped lower to inspect the base. My right boot came down on something flat. Not rock, not steel. Flat with a little grit to it. I crouched and swept my glove over the bottom. Silt peeled off in a gray sheet. Under it was asphalt. I thought at first it was dumped construction debris. Contractors throw broken pavement anywhere if nobody watches. But this was not broken. I rubbed more silt away and found a painted yellow line, straight and bright. Then another line beside it, a double yellow, running away from the pier into the dark. "Fen," I said, "I'm standing on pavement." He paused. "Say again?" "Pavement, like a road." "You sure it's not slab fill?" "That's what I'm checking." "Don't wander, Tommy." That should have been the end of it. I should have gone up, but I told myself it was part of the work zone. I paid out 10 feet of hose and shuffled forward. The road kept going. Asphalt, double yellow line, white reflectors set into the lane. I found a curb with my left hand, a real curb, smooth and squared, sitting at the bottom of the Chesapeake Bay. The clicking stopped. A streetlight came on ahead of me. It was a plain metal parking lot pole with a sodium orange lamp on top. The glow turned the silt into hanging dust. Then another light came on, farther down. Then another. They lit one after another, showing a 2-lane road, a shoulder, and a guardrail. No rust, no algae, no fishing line. "Fen," I said, "I have powered streetlights on the bottom." No joke came back, just his voice, hard. "Return to the pier." I turned around. The pier was still there, a dark block behind me. Close enough. I took 2 steps and my umbilical tugged from behind. Not from the boat, from the road. I followed it with my hand and saw it lying between the yellow lines, neat as a garden hose on a driveway, leading forward under the orange lamps. I gave 2 short pulls for slack. Fen said, "You're not pulling anything up here." "I am. I have slack on deck." I looked at the hose in my glove. It vibrated faintly, not like airflow, more like electricity through rubber. I should have cut it then. I had a knife. Fen told me to use bailout if I had to. But the hose ran towards something parked on the shoulder, and I wanted one clear look. Curiosity feels like procedure when you want it to. The vehicle was a silver Dodge Caravan, early 2000s model, Maryland plate, faded Ocean City sticker, 1 cracked taillight. It sat under the streetlight with all 4 tires on the road, no mud around the wheels. The passenger window was halfway open. "Vehicle on bottom," I said. "Leave it," Fen said. "My line goes past it." "Cut free and come back." I moved close to the window. The paint had that dull, wet shine a car gets after rain. I saw a Food Lion loyalty tag hanging from the keys in the ignition. Inside the van, 3 diving suits floated between the seats. They were not wetsuits. They looked old and heavy, canvas or rubber, with thick boots and round collars where helmets should have been. One was in the driver's seat, one was against the ceiling, one drifted in the back. They were empty. The wrists were collapsed. The legs bent wrong. They bumped gently against the seats. I said, "No occupants," more than once. Fen told me later I said it 6 times. The suit in the driver's seat turned toward me. It had no head, nothing to turn with. The whole empty torso twisted until the open collar faced my faceplate. The sleeves lifted off the steering wheel a few inches. The keyring swung, slow, although there was no current inside the van. My comms cracked. A woman's voice came through, calm and distant, like an old traffic station. "Bridge traffic is light today." Fen talked over her. "Tommy, answer me." I backed away from the van. The woman kept going. "Keep right for the toll plaza. Exact change. Keep right." My depth gauge flicked from 49 feet to 0, then to 180, then back. My Suunto computer flashed every segment at once. The road curved past the van, and in the orange glow, I saw a green highway sign hanging over the lane. For 1 second, the water around me seemed to vanish. The lane was dry. The minivan's tires were dusty. Beyond the guardrail was black space. Not bay water, not night sky, just black. Then, cold water slapped through my suit seals, and the silt returned. I turned for the pier. It was farther away, maybe 40 yards now. I had walked 10. My umbilical no longer ran back to Fen. A 6-foot length trailed from my harness and ended smooth, capped, factory clean. No braid, no wires. "Fen," I said. Nothing. Fen, I am on bailout. Still nothing. The sound in my helmet changed. Surface air has a steady life to it. Compressor hiss, flow, little pops in the line. Bailout is too quiet. I had maybe 10 minutes if I stayed calm. The van door opened behind me. I heard the latch. Underwater, through a helmet, I heard a soft car door clunk. I kept walking because looking back felt like agreeing to something. 5 steps. 10. My glove found the guardrail and I almost pulled back because it was warm. That made me look. The driver's door stood open. The empty suit from the front seat was halfway out. One sleeve on the doorframe, legs hanging like laundry. The other 2 suits pressed against the windshield from inside. Their collars faced me. The woman's voice returned, clearer. Accident ahead. Expect delays. Fen broke through for half a second. Line went dead, Tommy. If you hear... Static hit so loud, I flinched. I grabbed the short line at my chest and pulled once by reflex. Something pulled back, hard. Not from above, from around the curve farther down the road. I stumbled forward 3 steps and planted my boots. The van's hazard lights came on. Click, click, click. That had been the sound all along. Each blink showed more of the road. A toll booth, a second vehicle shape, a sign that said West. My hose ran under the open driver's door and into the steering column like it belonged to the van. The suit outside the caravan let go of the roof. It did not swim or walk. It simply stood upright in the water and filled out, sleeves spreading, legs straightening. The round collar widened like someone inside had taken a breath. I backed up and hit concrete. The pier was behind me. It made no sense by distance, but I had barnacles under my glove and cold, rough concrete against my shoulder. I found the maintenance frame, put one boot on a rung, and started climbing. The road lights went out. Total black. My helmet lamp caught the empty suit 3 feet away. One sleeve brushed my faceplate with a small rubber squeak. I hit it with my forearm. There was no weight in it. It folded around my arm like a jacket. That was when I stopped caring about proper procedure. I wrapped the line around my right glove and gave 3 hard pulls. Emergency ascent. 3 pulls, full body, no doubt about it. I did not care what the line was attached to anymore. I wanted up. Nothing happened for half a second. Then, the line took me. It felt less like Fen hauling and more like a cable catching under my ribs. My boots left the road. My shoulder hit the pier. My bailout bottle clipped metal. Below me, all the streetlights came back on at once. The road was crowded now. Dozens of empty suits stood in both lanes under the orange lamps. Maybe more. Collars tilted up toward me. The caravan sat among them with all 4 doors open and its hazards blinking. The woman said, "Proceed to the right lane." Then silt covered everything. I came up too fast, I know that. Fen followed the signal and I did not fight him. He got my helmet above water and the sky looked flat and gray. I smelled gasoline from the outboard, wet neoprene, and sour breath in the mask. Fen's face was pale. He said, "Where's your hose?" The umbilical hanging from my harness was only 6 feet long. It ended smooth and capped, same as below. Fen stared at it, then cut my harness loose and got me on oxygen. The DOT man kept asking questions until Fen told him to shut up. They put me in a chamber in Annapolis. I had tingling in my fingers, a headache, and enough joint ache to make treatment easy. In the chamber, I gave everyone the words they needed. Nitrogen narcosis, I told the doctor. I got confused. I wandered. I saw debris and filled in the blanks. He looked at my chart. At 50 feet? Bad air, maybe, I said. Fen heard me through the little window. He did not argue. Later, he handed me my dive computer in a Ziploc bag. The screen was cracked from the inside. My GoPro was gone, but the mount screw was still tight. I asked Fen what happened topside. He said my comms cut out. Then the umbilical went slack. He pulled and got back 6 feet with a capped end. The strange part was that the deck hose was still connected to the compressor and still feeding air into nothing. Pressure steady, no leak. Complete on the boat, complete on me. Middle missing. I asked if he heard the woman. He said, "I heard traffic reports on the dive channel. Harbor Line lost the contract. Officially, it was safety documentation. Unofficially, I think Eller did not want our names near that pier again." A different crew out of Norfolk went 2 weeks later. Fen heard from one of their tenders that the diver came up early and kept asking why there were shopping carts rolling across the bottom against the current. Their written report said poor visibility, no unusual debris, repair postponed for weather. I quit diving the next spring. I tell people my knees went bad. That is true enough. I still have Fenn's number, but I never call it. He would tell me not to poke it, and he would be right. At 15 meters under the Chesapeake Bay, beside a pier millions of people drive over without thinking, I found a road with working lights and a parked minivan full of empty diving suits. I pulled the line 3 times for emergency ascent. In the chamber, I said nitrogen narcosis. Another crew went to that pier after us. I was 36 in October 2008, working sanitation cuts in Glacier National Park, on the North Fork side of Montana. We were clearing beetle-killed lodgepole and dead leaners before snow shut the roads. Hazard work, not lumber. My dog was Copper, a 5-year-old Belgian Malinois. He rode in my 1997 Ford F250 with his paws on the cracked dashboard. My Motorola had a chewed antenna, and my Nokia brick was useless up there. On Friday, October 17th, Ranger Dana sent me west of a drainage called Spruce Straw. Vince and Pete were by the loader road. Molly stayed at base. Arlen, a seasonal kid with a flip camera, was helping Pete. It was 31 degrees at 7. The air smelled like diesel, cold dirt, and crushed pine needles. Dana handed me a laminated map. Walk the flagged line, mark hazard trees, don't cut alone. I'm not cutting. She gave me the look you give a contractor who has lied before. Copper sneezed from the cab. I left at 7:28. For the first hour, it was normal. Boot crunch, harness tag tapping, a red squirrel cussing from a fur. Copper ranged ahead on a long lead. The first odd thing was the flagging tape. We were using pink tape, 1 strip every 30 yards. Around 9:05, I found a piece tied in a neat little bow, like on a gift. I decided Arlen had done it. 19-year-old kid, bored in the woods, fine. Then I found another bow, then a third, tied around a dead branch stuck upright like a survey stake. I keyed my radio. Base, Ellis, anyone reflagging Spruce Straw? Static. Then Dana. Negative. Somebody's decorating. What? Never mind. Copper had stopped ahead of me. He was listening downhill. Then he backed into my legs. Copper didn't give up lead position unless there was a bear, a person, or he thought I was being stupid. I kept going because that is what you do at work. You make the weird thing normal and finish the line. At 9:41, while I was writing a GPS number for a dead snag, I heard Vince call my name. Not on the radio, from the trees. Mark. It came from downslope, maybe 70 yards away. Same rough smoker voice. I turned. Vince? Nothing. Then, clear as if he stood behind a trunk. Mark, bring your tape. Copper pressed against my shin. His lips lifted just enough to show teeth. I called Vince. You yelling for me? He answered with a chainsaw idling near him. Nope, I'm with Pete by the loader road. You good? Yeah, I said. Echo, maybe. Bad explanation, but I used it. Valleys throw sound around. Around 10:15, the flagged route led into a shallow bowl below a gray rock wall. Dead, standing pine everywhere. I should have turned back. Instead, I was thinking about lunch and the truck heater. The smell hit first. Wet cedar, though there were no cedars. Old mushrooms. Something sweet under it, like vanilla creamer left open in a hot truck. Copper hated it. He kept licking his nose and pulling left. Then he saw the stump. It stood in a small clearing, 4 feet tall, maybe 3 feet across, black with rot on one side and gray on the other. Loose bark hung in plates. The center had a long split filled with brown pulp. Nothing special. That forest had 1,000 ugly stumps. Copper went rigid. One paw lifted. Then he started barking at it the way he barked when he had a person cornered. Leave it, I said. He ignored me. That got my attention more than the stump. I shortened the leash and stepped closer. I expected a porcupine, maybe a raccoon inside the rot. The bark moved. Just a dry tick at first, like a fingernail on a desk. Copper lunged. The lead burned my palm through the glove. A loose flap near the split bowed outward. Something pale shifted behind it. My first thought was a glove. Somebody had stuffed a glove in the stump. The bark peeled back another inch. A human hand was under it. Not bone, not dirty. A woman's hand, narrow and clean, glossy red nails, perfect manicure. The kind you would see at a bank counter in Whitefish, not inside a rotten stump 2 miles from the road. The fingers pressed against the bark from inside. slow, patient. Then the nails scraped down the wood. Skirt. Copper threw himself forward, barking so hard, spit hit the grass. Skirt. I should have left. Instead, I tried to understand it well enough to report it. Hello? I said. The hand stopped. From inside the stump, Molly said, Mark? Her voice. Exact. Molly had been at base when I left, labeling sample bags and drinking coffee. Mark, my arm is stuck! Copper stopped barking. He dropped low and made a thin sound I had heard once, when a grizzly crossed 20 yards ahead near Many Glacier. I stepped back. Molly is stuck, the stump said. It said her name wrong, like it knew the words, but not who owned them. I raised the radio. Base, Ellis, I need another unit at my position. A click. Then Dana's voice came through, too clean, with no radio fuzz. Mark, bring your tape. Behind me, uphill, my own voice said, Copper, heel. Copper's head snapped around. Nothing was there but dead pine and a strip of pink tape tied in a bow. The dog took one step toward the command before he caught himself. That scared me worse than the hand. He had almost obeyed. I grabbed his harness and backed away. Bark cracked. 3 red nails slid farther out. Mr. Ellis, a polite older woman said from inside the stump, can you help me out? I did not answer. Mr. Ellis, I can see your dog. I moved fast, not running. Running through blowdown is how you break a leg. Branches slapped my face. I lost my Navy Glacier contract forestry cap and did not stop. Copper fought me for the first 10 yards. Then something behind us spoke in my father's voice. Mark, don't be rude. My father had died in 1999. He had never been to Montana. Copper stopped fighting. He tucked close to my leg and ran. I followed the pink tape until I noticed every strip was tied in a bow. Too many. Every 10 feet, some pointed back uphill. The bull should have been behind us, but the gray rock wall kept showing through the trees on my left, then my right, then ahead. The Garmin eTrek said I was moving 12.6 miles per hour while I stood still. I took out my real compass. The needle settled north. Old stuff works, I thought. Fancy stuff lies. I picked a downhill line toward Spruce Draw. For a few minutes, it worked. I heard water under ice. Then, far below, my truck started. Same old Ford cough, same bad belt squeal. Copper looked downhill. The horn honked twice. That was my signal for him to load up. He bolted. The lead was wrapped around my wrist, so he yanked me to one knee instead of getting loose. I reeled him in while the horn honked twice again. No, I told him, that's not our truck. The engine quit. Then every voice came at once. Vince, Dana, Pete, Molly, Arlen. Over here. Bring the saw. Dog first. My name repeated from trees in 5 directions, and from the radio even after I pulled the battery and threw both pieces into the brush. That was when my head stopped making boxes for it. At 11:28, we reached Spruce Draw, narrow creek, ice crust, water ticking underneath. I drank, and the cold made my teeth ache. For a minute, I thought we were out. Then, someone across the creek, in Arlen's exact voice, said, Dana wants you at the stump. I saw a blue Carhartt jacket between 2 pines. When I raised the orange paint can and sprayed across the creek, the mist passed through the jacket and hit the tree behind it. I crossed upstream and did not look back. Then it went quiet. No birds, no squirrels, no wind. Just my boots and Copper breathing. We pushed into young firs so tight the needles scratched my cheeks and sap stuck to my sleeves. Halfway through, Copper froze. The stump was there. Same split, same loose spark. Impossible, because we had crossed the creek and walked downhill for half an hour. The hand was farther out now, wrist showing, thin gold bracelet, red nails tapping the outside of the bark. Tap, tap, tap. Inside the stump, my own voice whispered, You're tired. I was. Let the dog come here. The hand opened, palm up. It looked warm, clean, like it belonged in a house. Copper, it said, still using my voice. The dog took half a step. I slapped his shoulder. Not hard, enough to shock him. I had never hit him before. He looked at me like I had done something unforgivable, but he stopped. Sorry, I said, and dragged him backward through the firs. The stump made a small sound, not a scream, just a disappointed click of the tongue. Tch. At noon, I found my own orange paint on a dead pine. Fresh, still wet. We had circled. I sat on a rock because my legs were shaking. Copper leaned against me. 10 feet away, my lost cap hung from a branch. Under it, pink flagging tape was tied in a neat bow. I left the cap. I chose the steepest downhill grade and went straight, no matter what the map said. Roads and water sit low, rock walls and dead things sit high. For 40 minutes, I slid through blowdown, tore my vest, and kept one hand on copper. Voices drifted behind us, casual now. He's coming back. Dog first. Use the horn. The horn honked twice, close enough that Copper flinched. He did not run. We hit the service track at 12:47. Mud ruts, tire marks, a crushed Coors Light can in the ditch. Beautiful human trash. My real truck sat a quarter-mile east beside the culvert, quiet and dusty. I shoved Copper into the cab, climbed in after him, locked both doors like that mattered, and started the Ford. It caught on the third try. I drove too fast back to base. At the shed, I found pink tape tied around the antenna. I ripped it off and threw it in the dirt. Dana came out with a clipboard. "Where the hell have you been?" Copper was on the passenger seat, paws on the dash, staring at the tree line. That changed her face. Everyone was accounted for. Vince and Pete were muddy. Molly was alive, holding coffee. Arlen was sitting on a bucket. I told them enough to sound crazy. Hand in the stump, voices copying people, Copper alerting. I did not mention my father. Dana called it in as possible unlawful presence and possible injured person in a closed work zone. Official words. Safe words. Since it was late and all of us were back, the Rangers waited for daylight. That night, Copper would not leave my truck. Around 2 a.m., someone under the cabin window said, very softly, "Mark, bring your tape." Copper stood, but did not bark. I did not move. At 8:10 the next morning, 5 Rangers, Dana, me, and Copper, went back to Spruce Draw. We had 2 radios, a shotgun carried by Ranger Howell, and enough orange vests to look like a road crew. The pink bows were gone. My paint marks were there. The creek was there. The tight fur patch was there. My navy cap still hung on the branch, wet with frost. Dana bagged it without asking whether I wanted it. We reached the bull at 9:03. The stump was split open from top to bottom. Not cut, split. The 2 halves leaned away from each other like something inside had pushed out. Rotten core lay scattered over the grass. No hand, no bracelet, no red nails, no blood. Just damp wood and that smell of wet cedar and sweet creamer. Behind the stump, at the base of the rock wall, was a hole. It was oval, about 3 feet wide and 2 feet high, angled down under the granite. The edges were scraped smooth. Fresh gray dust covered the needles. Howell shined his maglite inside. The beam vanished into the mountain. Copper would not come within 15 yards of it. Dana looked at me for a long time and said, "Nobody writes this report the way it happened." So they didn't. The official version said, unknown persons had excavated an unstable site. Possible remains unconfirmed. The area was closed. A week later, snow covered the track. By November, I was out of Montana. That's where LurmoStories leaves you. Try searching for the forum the user posted on. It used to come up first result. It comes up nowhere now. If yours still finds it, screenshot the URL before it stops. We collect those in the pinned comment.